Today I'm going to talk about or walk you through 4 separate incidents involving illegally possessed firearms in our city this past weekend. Each of these incidents represents a troubling trend that we're seeing here that presents illegally possessed firearms escalations and confrontations into deadly or potentially deadly situations. During the midnight shift on Sunday, Foothill Division patrol officers contacted 5 occupants in an illegally parked car. 3 of the occupants exited the vehicle and fled on foot, each holding a firearm. One of the occupants was later located and arrested for possession of a privately made firearm, or PMF, also known as a ghost gun. The additional guns and suspects are still out in the community, and the investigation is still ongoing. Another incident occurred on Cadillac Drive in West San Jose on Saturday evening. A family dispute escalated into a male discharging a firearm inside the residence with a woman and a 1-year-old child inside. As a result, a special operations activation was required to handle the potentially deadly situation involving this firearm. While negotiating with the individual, the woman and the 1-year-old child were able to escape the residence. The suspect attempted to flee, but was apprehended, and a firearm was located at the scene. The third incident was a homicide that occurred at 2:43 a.m. on Sunday, March 27. During that incident, patrol officers responded to a shooting incident on South 4th Street near San Carlos Street. When they arrived, they located an adult male suffering from at least 1 gunshot wound, and he was pronounced deceased at the scene. The shooter was reported to have fled on foot and still had the handgun. While managing the homicide crime scene, officers were flagged down and called to deal with yet another firearm-related incident less than half a block away. This 4th incident resulted in an officer-involved shooting that occurred at approximately 3:11 a.m. at La Victoria restaurant on San Carlos Street, a few hundred feet away from the scene of the homicide. This incident involved 2 different groups of people who went to the La Victoria restaurant. At the time of the incident, the restaurant was crowded with late-night customers. The 2 groups became involved in a verbal argument with each other that escalated into a physical fight. You will see a video surveillance footage from inside the restaurant that captured this violent fight that left one person suffering from an orbital fracture. During the fight, one individual produced a handgun and brandished it at another male. Seeing the gun, all the occupants and the employees began running out of the restaurant and yelling. A struggle for the gun ensues, and eventually the handgun changes possession more than once. Officers only a few feet away from the restaurant working the homicide scene see people running out and are told by customers that there is a fight involving a gun happening inside the restaurant. Watching people running out of the La Victoria restaurant, an officer believes that an active shooter scenario is unfolding or about to unfold, and broadcasts that information over the police radio. Officers also believed the incident at the restaurant could involve the outstanding homicide suspect. A team of officers approached the restaurant on foot as the fight was continuing. The fight moved out of the front door and onto the landing, where one individual was holding the handgun. Officers gave repeated commands to drop the gun. However, the individual does not drop the gun, and one officer shot more than one time, striking the individual. The individual was transported to a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The individual who originally brought the gun to the La Victoria restaurant and brandished it during the fight was arrested for being a felon in possession of a privately made firearm or ghost gun. I will now play a short clip of some surveillance video from the restaurant. Through the preliminary investigation, we have found what the officer knew and did not know leading up to this investigation and to the shooting. The officer knew that a homicide with a firearm had just occurred and that the suspect with the firearm had fled and could be in the immediate area. The officer knew that less than a block away from the homicide, a man with a gun inside a crowded restaurant engaged in a fight, and that panicked customers were running out reporting what was occurring. The officer knew that the person coming out of the restaurant was holding a gun and pointed it at others. The officer knew that that individual holding the gun did not drop it when commands were clearly given to him. The officer did not know who brought the gun to the restaurant. That information came to light after the detectives viewed the surveillance footage after the shooting. Body-worn camera from several officers captured the incident, and we have released a still image from a body-worn camera that showed the individual holding the firearm at the time he was shot. There was one involved officer in this shooting, with several other officers witnessing the shooting. The involved officer has 4 years of experience and is CIT trained and has been placed on routine administrative leave. We will be releasing the officer's name at a later date. A joint criminal investigation by the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office, the San Jose Police Department's homicide unit, is underway. The case is also being monitored by the San Jose Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit, the City Attorney's Office, and the Office of the Independent Police Auditor. The determination of whether the shooting was lawful and justified will come from the District Attorney at a later date. As with all officer-involved shootings, we will be releasing community briefing video of body-worn camera footage in the coming weeks as dictated by AB 748. In addition to body-worn camera video, much of this incident was captured by surveillance footage from the restaurant as well as cell phone videos from people on the street. The handgun recovered at the scene is an unserialized, privately made firearm. Again, a ghost gun. This fist fight unnecessarily escalated into a situation where many lives were put in danger and one individual was seriously injured. This is an unfortunate but also too common set of circumstances where a confrontation and fight could have turned deadly due to the presence of a firearm. This is our second officer-involved shooting of 2022. Because a firearm was present, all 4 incidents escalated into potentially deadly encounters and one senseless loss of life during this weekend. 3 of the 4 incidents I described involved ghost guns. Over the last year, every 12 hours in San Jose, an illegally possessed firearm is discovered and seized during a police contact. In addition, many of those weapons are untraceable, privately made, otherwise known as ghost guns. Over the past 14 months, we have seized 1,108 illegal firearms off our city streets. Of those, 287, or 25%, have been ghost guns. Each gun seized represents a potential life saved or violent incident avoided. In the past 5 years, there have been over 1,300 shootings and 662 incidents of brandishing a firearm in our city. Robberies and carjackings frequently involve an illegally possessed gun, and 106 out of 163 homicides have involved a firearm. Our department has focused our efforts on proactive policing that remove guns from our streets because it saves lives. Throughout our organization, patrol officers, special operations, and detectives are working hard to prevent violent crime before it occurs. They are seizing large number of illegally possessed guns, as well as going after the underground manufacturers that sell and distribute privately made firearms. The photos on the screen are a sample of some of the illegally possessed firearms officers have recently seized. The willingness of our officers to continually run towards gunfire and seek out these weapons is a testament to the commitment they have in keeping the community safe. I am incredibly proud of the bravery that our officers demonstrate daily. I firmly believe that having fewer illegal ghost guns in our community will save lives. So today, I'm announcing a new program called Cash for Ghost Guns. We will refocus future funding for gun buybacks towards a program that will pay cash for tips that lead to the seizure of privately made firearms. We will be reaching out to our existing partners who have previously supported our gun buyback efforts to focus those funds on these illegal, untraceable ghost guns and assault weapons. Partnering with our community, I know we can make a dent in the proliferation of these firearms. I believe that targeting these type of weapons and the people who are already prohibited from possessing firearms is the best and most urgent use of funding intended to reduce gun violence. Tips can be made anonymously through Silicon Valley Crime Stoppers online or by calling 408-947-STOP. Cash rewards will be given for information leading up to the seizure of a ghost gun or assault rifle, and significantly more for more information on dealer and manufacturing of ghost guns. Preventing gun violence must remain one of our highest priorities, and we will continue to do so. I will now take any questions.
Chief, so just for clarity, we're not sure, or you're not sure, who actually had the gun, which person brought the gun. That's still being investigated, but it was not the man who was actually shot?
Based on the video that we saw, it was someone else that had the firearm. So the person that was shot, based on the video that we just viewed, based on this evidence, we know that he did not bring it.
Does he face any kind of charges?
No.
How long after was the person